I watched it in this channel about subject. It's called Holy Quran. If I read Holy Quran, the sick man, we can recover from this. Do you think that's truth or imagination?
Could be both. Because we have proof based on hadith sahih, on the trustworthy traditions of Hazrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, that Surah Fatiha is also entitled Shifa, and this name was given by God to Surah Fatiha, Surah Al-Fatiha, and this name covers both spiritual health as well as physical health. And this came to light, but I'll answer your question after telling you the positive side. Then I said could be both. I'll turn to the negative side after this. This happened at the time of Hazur Akram sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that once two of his companions lost their way in the wilderness, in the desert, and by mistake went to a tribe, and they lost. The food was exhausted, no water left. They were very hungry and thirsty. So by mistake they went to a tribe which was not a friendly tribe, and they demanded from them to help them, and they said, "No, get away, because you are not a friendly tribe. We don't care for what may happen to you." When this happened, the chief of that tribe was suffering from a very severe headache, so severe that nobody else could cure him, and he was almost striking his head against the walls. And this news reached him that there were two people from Quraysh Mecca maybe who were not friendly with their tribe, and they had turned them away. He said, somebody run for them and bring them back. Maybe they know something which could cure me. So you have blindly turned them out, and let us find out about them, who they are and what they can do about my disease. And when they called them back, he asked them, the chief, "Can you do anything for my headache? If you do, then of course we'll entertain you." And one of them said, "Yes, I can." And he recited Surah Fatiha over a glass of water and made him drink that. And he was cured so rapidly that everybody was amazed. So in gratitude to them, he offered them, of course, food to eat there and then, but also along with them they gave them some goat or some other things, some meat and things to suffice them in their remaining journey towards Mecca. Now one of them objected against this, the one who hadn't thought of it, and he continuously debated the issue of this practice as valid and permissible in Islam or invalid. His argument was that the Holy Quran says, "Do not sell the verses of the Quran cheaply." He said, "You have practically sold the verses of the Quran, and the money you got or we got and the food we got was not permissible." He had eaten it because maybe he thought that to save life, even you can have the prohibited things, to eat prohibited things. But he was not convinced of the righteousness of the rightness of the act. So they debated the issue and reached Hazrat Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and informed him of this debate and difference of opinion. Hazrat Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam inquired from him, "What did you do?" He said, "I recited Surah Fatiha." "Why did you do it?" He said, "I thought this is most wonderful verse, surah, and it may cure him. So Rasulullah said, but how did you know that God had told me that one of the names of this surah is Ash-Shifa? See? So he fully approved of it, and to dispel any doubts which the other person entertained, he inquired from them, have you got some food, meat left which they gave you? So they said, yes, Ya Rasulullah, this is it. So he ate that himself. But this was a very special nobility of Rasulullah, very highly noble feature, very distinctly noble feature, that when he issued a verdict or edict in favor of something, he himself practiced it to show them that it's not for others. Whatever is good for others is also good for him. So to demonstrate to them that his fatwa is real, valid, and valid in every case, he ate a part of what was given to them. So that far we know that there is some special blessing of Allah endowed to some verses of the Quran which can work even physical cure. Right? That's one side. The other side is, if it works physically, like people understand, then there is no need for any hospitals in the world anymore. The AIDS problem is finished, over. Everybody should open Surah Fatiha hospitals. See? And invite people of all sorts, of cancer patients and headaches and stomach patients and kidney problems and things, heart patients, everything. And they just have to say, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin, and give the water, and everybody would be cured. And the believers who say dam is right, and they give dam to others and get some money out of that, they know it's not possible. It doesn't work. When they fall ill, instead of reciting Surah Fatiha, they go to some hospital. See? So what is the contradiction? What I said was so different in the beginning. What I've concluded is so different. Yet, I have to tell you my personal experience as well. Once in Mardan, a big city and also a district in Northwest Province, the name of the district is Mardan and the capital is also Mardan. I went there on a Jamaati function long ago, before I was Caliph. And I used to go visit different Jamaats and sit in question answer sessions, because this was something which God had, prepared me for, right from my childhood. So I was to sit in question answer session which was attended by a very large number of people from not only Mardan, from other places as well. And it was immediately after Maghrib Isha prayer that it was to start. And I felt such headache. Seldom I had experienced that, because of over much, work during the travels, journeys, and disturbance of food, lack of sleep. So I had a very severe attack of migraine. And I thought that any time I could vomit. Particularly whenever I opened my mouth to speak something, I felt like vomiting. I said, oh God, if I'm sitting in a question answer session and instead of answering I start vomiting, what would happen? What would people think? And I was to lead the prayer as well. And when I led the prayer, when I reached Surah Fatiha, then I knew the answer. So I prayed to Allah that I believe that this surah is also given the name of Shifa, and I believe that it can work, also physically. So this is my treatment. And when I went to sajda after that rakat, there was one sudden pang as I went down. And during the sajda, I completely forgot that I was suffering from a headache. It had completely gone. In the whole remaining prayer, there was no sign of that headache. I don't know where it disappeared. And then I had a very busy question answer session lasting for more than 2 hours. And then we have food together and everything. No sign of that headache at all. So here is the proof that the history of Islam is based on facts. What you read in the hadith about that man having been cured in the desert of Arabia 1400 years ago was proved alive by me. And I have also other evidence of this. But then the contradiction still arises. On the one hand you quote history, on the other hand you quote your own experience, and in the middle you tell us that Surah Fatiha hospitals are not feasible. So what is the answer? The answer is evident. God has created this law of nature not in vain. رَبَّنَا مَا خَلَقْتَ هَذَا بَاطِلًا. If God had granted man powers like this, magical powers with verses, the whole progress of man will come to standstill. It only means that when we are left with no other means, when you, despite the fact that you want some medicine, you fall short of it, you have no access to anything, no treatment. In that case, when you believe in Surah Fatiha and believe in prayer, and recite Surah Fatiha, it can work. And I have seen it work in other cases as well. In some of the patients, sometimes during my journeys, I don't have my medicine checks, and I have no other treatment for somebody who falls ill. And when I found myself helpless, then by way of prayer, not by way of some dam or chanting, I recite the Surah Fatiha with, especially when I say Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in, I keep this disease in mind, and with the grace of Allah it works. I can't say that it works in every case. Allah knows best, because still it's a begging. It's not an order. Nobody can give orders to God. But so many times it has happened that it's impossible to call it a chance. See? So in this sense, some verses of the Holy Quran can have a physical effect on human affairs. And yet you can't use them as a general formula and make them your profession. If you do it, the blessing will be lost. So these so-called people who give them and get money, they actually sell the verses of the Quran. Because in that case, you remember, in the case of those companions, they had made no condition for anything. A request was made to them, and out of courtesy and sympathy for the suffering chief, one of them recited Surah Fatiha. So what came was a gift, not the price anyway. But if you make it a profession of doing them and getting some money out of it, that is really selling the verses of the Holy Quran to others. And that is why the blessing has been lifted mostly from these practices. You understand?
Yes, we do, but people, if that man, he has the high power, he said, this is Qudra Ilahiyya. The blessing will not remove from me. I have this Qudra Ilahiyya. So,
but they're wrong people. Your father told me once, late father, God bless him, that once he was walking the streets of, I think,
In Africa.
In Africa, yes.
Yeah.
In Jordan, I think.
That was in Africa.
No, not Jordan. In Sudan.
yes.
In Sudan. He said there was somebody who was claiming to have the power of doing this and that, and if somebody rejects that, then the jinn will capture him or something. And his face was flushed, and he overawed everybody. And everybody was afraid of his power, and he said that, all right, you give him some money and run away. So Hazrat Ilmi Shafi Sahib, he stood him, he said, look here, I'm the man. I want your jinn to come and capture me now. I reject your claim. It's all false. Now do what you can. And he ran away himself. So everybody started looking at him, and all the spell he had cast over the people was completely gone, disappeared. So this is the verdict of your own father. Such people should be always challenged, and you can prove that they are wrong. In Africa, this has happened many a time. Some missionaries write to me worriedly that some Christians, it's not just a case of mullahs, Muslim clergy, it's very popular among the Christian clergy to also benefit for the sake of their faith. In Africa, in poor countries, they organize some people who pose as lame, legs bound here, or some sick, and some say we can't see, this and that, and they wear heavy glasses, and they said, no, we can't see, and we are born blind. So a Christian missionary stands up and says, in the name of Christ, I cure you. And suddenly the person who is invalid gets up, and the blind, oh yes, oh my old friend, I know, I recognize you. And this happens, and they convert people to Christianity. What can we do about this? The Ahmadi missionaries wrote to me, it is false, we know. But what can we do about it? I say the simple answer is, take some real blind people with one leg or no arm, and carry all the disease along with you. And when this missionary comes, tell him, look here, we have got, cure them. And when they did it, he ran away, ran for his life. So everybody was after this man. But this happens every time. I have given them a policy. I'm not talking of one single instance. Sometimes it is reported that they don't run away, but say, you must have faith first. So how can we have faith first before we don't know? It's all stupid and meaningless. So the same is the case of these Muslim mullahs who sell the verses of the Quran for the sake of their personal benefits, and you can inquire about them whenever their family members fall ill. Their verses don't cure them. You can see them in the hospitals. Right? Thank you. I've taken too long perhaps this time, huh?
No, inshallah.
Or you'll be able to finish it, no?
Inshallah.